Hi, Massachusetts OUI lawyer Mike DelSignore here. I want to answer one of the most common questions people ask: should you take a breath test in Massachusetts? So a lot of times people, after they're arrested, wonder, was it a good decision to refuse or take a breath test? And there's really no perfect answer. Generally, it's better to refuse because the government's not going to have the objective evidence of your BAC. So it is an easier case without a breath test, no question about it. But the refusal comes with a penalty. You're not going to be able to drive for 6 months. There's a possibility if you get a fast trial, you might be able to get back on the road prior to 6 months. But there's only really a handful of courts where you can get a trial in 4 to 5 months. And still you're going to be off the road for about 4 or 5 months. So it was definitely better to refuse. Now the government doesn't have the evidence. Now the case depends almost entirely on the field sobriety tests, the observations of the driving. So it's very subjective. And that may not be enough to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you're impaired. It certainly was enough to get you arrested, but proof beyond a reasonable doubt is a very high standard, the highest degree of certainty in the matters of human affairs. So when a case depends on just a walk and turn, a 9-step walk and turn, there's a lot of reasons why someone who's not impaired may not do well on those tests. You have medical issues, you might be nervous. Often the officers kind of rush through the instructions. It's not even really clear what you're supposed to be doing, how this test is even going to be scored. So don't be concerned if you see you failed field sobriety tests. That doesn't mean you're going to be convicted. I've won many cases where the report is alleged the person has failed field sobriety tests. So good news, if you refuse the breath test, it's a better case for trial. Now, if you took a breath test, you'll be able to get back on the road within 30 days. You'll get your full license back. So schedule that hearing immediately. So that's a good thing. You'll be able to drive while we're fighting the case. But there's an extra component. We need to either get the breathalyzer excluded from evidence or find a way to challenge the accuracy and reliability of that. All things I've done over the last 20 years. So don't assume you can't win the case just because there's a breath test. I go to court almost twice a week to try to get a breath test suppressed. It's something I'm very familiar with. I'm working with an expert on different defenses in breath test cases. So there's a lot I can do to help you if you took a breath test. So the most important thing to know is, regardless of whether you refuse or took a test, is the government's got to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Contact me. I'll go over all your rights, defenses, help you make the best decision for yourself. My name's Mike DelSignore, 781-686-5924.